Hi crafters, this is Paulette. Welcome to my craft room. I wanted to show these really cute little two-dimensional trucks that I made for my Thanksgiving with the Tim Holtz Alterations die called Old Jalopy. This is a little trick that I learned at AccuCut, and you can do this to any flat die and make it stand up. So let's get started. So basically what I did was, you have to measure your die and get some measurements for yourself. So here you can see the car. We are going to measure from the top of the die to the longest part of the bottom of the die. So laying my ruler right on the top edge of the die cut blade, I can see that this is just inside 3 1/4 inches. The actual measurement is about 3 3/16, but that's going to get too complicated to figure out. So I wrote down on my paper 3 1/4. And you're going to need that twice because you need 2 sides. You need a side for each side. So I measured 3 1/4 plus 3 1/4. Now essentially you need 1 inch to go in the middle here, because you need a 1/2 inch where you can crease it and a 1/2 inch. So that means 1 inch. Well, I am no mathematical genius, so let's just make that clear right now. And you can see I originally wrote down 1. And while I was doing this, I said to myself, oh no, I need 2 inches. Well, it worked out best in the end that I did have 2 inches, because it made all of my measurements and cutting much simpler. So that was an accident. But adding all this together gives me 8 1/2. So very simply, I went 3 and 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 2 1/4 inches equal and 1/2 inch. So that's how I got my 8 1/2. So I took an 8 1/2 piece of cardstock and I scored it. So here is, and now I'm too close. All right, let me move away all of this other business. Okay, here's my 8 1/2 by 11 inch cardstock. Well, I knew I needed to score in the center just to get the middle. So that is a 4 1/4 inch score. And then I needed to score a 1/2 inch on either side of that. So that makes my score lines be 3 1/4, 4 1/4, and 4 3/4. Then I can take this and cut it in half. So that's what I did. I put this in a paper trimmer and I cut it at 5 1/2 inches. And this gives me enough cardstock for 2 cars. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold on all 3 of these score lines. So let's just fold on the first one. Then we're going to fold on the second one. Then you kind of have this Z shape, and then you're going to fold back up onto itself, and now you have a mountain and valley fold there in the center. Now it's best to go ahead and press this down so that you can die cut it. So we're going to bring this back in. Here's our car. We're going to take our cardstock that we just folded. The folds are here on the bottom. We need them down at the bottom of our wheels. And we're going to lay that just inside these 2 longest wheels on the fold, and it tilts a little bit more to the right. You can see up here at the top, it tilts a little bit more to the right just because of the way the die is laid out on the board. And then we're going to run that through. You run that through, it comes out like this. You take it off the die, and this is what you have. So we're going to take some little scissors, and we're going to snip out this little middle section here. We don't need it. It could be, you know, it could be a shadow under there, but I thought I don't want that on there. I didn't want it on mine, so I'm cutting it off. So just cut it right at the back end of both of those wheels and toss it. And I also got an extra little tooth there that I don't want. Now I'm going to turn this over and find the front. Here is the front of my car. The nice part where the die was next to the paper. And I am going to put a little bit of adhesive on this wheel that's sticking out, and a little bit of adhesive on this wheel that's sticking out. And we're going to fold those over back onto the bigger wheel, just to get rid of them. I didn't want them sticking out, and I thought it would give a little bit more stability to my project while it's standing up. So just fold those in. Now, you can just raise your car up, matching up the tops here. Now you could just glue this together and you have a two-dimensional stand-up item. Well, I wanted mine to be little trucks. So I just held this all together and just cut out the window. And then turned it this way. Make sure it's lined up. You can just pinch together there between the windows and line it up. And this gives me a little pickup shape. Now I did come in here and I just curved a little bit right there. Doesn't have to be perfect because this is a rustic kind of vehicle anyway. And now I have my little pickup truck. So I die cut with some of my Quickutz dies, the little turkey and the little basket. I cut 2 each so that I would have, I felt like one piece of cardstock there was going to be too flimsy, so I cut 2 and glued them back to back so that they would be a little bit more sturdy. Now on my first one, I used a staple right here, and I tried to cover that up with the leaf a little bit. For the basket, it was okay. It held that shut nice and tight, but then you have this staple showing. So do whatever you think is best. I ended up for the turkeys, because there's not enough, there's a skinny little leg and a small little feather piece here, and I didn't think I was going to hit that with the stapler. So I used my ATG, and I just put a strip of ATG adhesive on this vehicle and some on this vehicle, and I stuck my little pieces in there, and then I pinched all that together. The same thing up here at the top. I did 1 strip of ATG though, and just sealed those together. Then my little word dies are from Papertrey Ink. They are 2 different sets. One is called Wonderful Words Holiday, and it has the words peace, merry, and holiday. The other set is called Counting My Blessings, and they are the words blessed, thankful, and grateful. And they are just really, really cute. There they are. So I cut those in different colors, and I used, for some of them, I used this textured cardstock, and some of them I just used smooth cardstock. And then very simply colored on my leaves, which I have dumped all in the floor over here while I was messing around, moving stuff around. And I can't reach any of the leaves, but here's a little pumpkin. We'll do the pumpkin I did just some very simple coloring. I chose 2 colors, one for the stem and one to do the coloring on the pumpkin itself. And when I do this, it's just really quick coloring. Try not to think about it too much. I do better if it's just really fast. A little bit of texture there. Now, you probably don't need any across the bottom because I ended up putting all my pumpkins inside something. I either tucked them in the truck or tucked them in the basket, so you may just omit that. And then I just did very simple. Just doodle on some. And for the pumpkins, I ended up needing to do it on both sides, so be sure and color both sides of your pumpkins. Some of the leaves, these are the ones where I actually colored on the fronts. And then after I got them stuck in here, I had to come in here with my marker. That's why this pumpkin's not very good. I had to come in here and do the backs in case they showed, because some of the places that I sat this, people could see them from either side. Some of them they couldn't, so it didn't really matter. Now I did cut the little fenders and all the little wheel accessories separately from my car, but I ended up not using the fender because after I smeared all this ink on here, it wasn't going to show. And by the time I put these words across here, I didn't think they were going to show, and so that just seemed like a lot of extra work, and I needed to hurry up and roll on because Thanksgiving was at my house this year, and I was doing a lot of the cooking. So I just swiped on here. You know, I was sure to swipe across with the ink over the bed, over the windows, over the hood. I did mimic the fender on the front and the back. I did cut out this little piece with the hole in it, and I inked it, and then I inked these little wheels and put them on, but it really is not necessary because look here. Here is the back. And after you ink and put all the words on there, I forgot to ink this wheel because I was in a really big hurry. Here's one that actually got inked, but look. Here's the front of one, and here's the back of one, and there's just not a whole lot of difference. If you're standing back looking at them, you see the pop of color, you see the word. I just think they turned out really cute. I was really pleased with them. And I put words on both sides. And I even did the one with peace. We have all our servicemen and women that are still putting their lives on the line so the rest of us can enjoy the holidays. So anyway, if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. Thanks for joining me.